All right, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Really excited for homecoming this week, getting all of our alum back, all of our fans back. We've had 3 sellouts this year, so Mikers, Bickey, and Mills do such a great job of creating an elite atmosphere at Huntington Bank Stadium, and look forward to another one this week. Coming off our bye week, one of the main objectives was to find a way to get healthy, get some players back, and then go back over some self-scout of what we've done really well, what we need to continue to improve on. It gives you a time to reflect and really make some changes offensively, defensively, and special teams, and do everything you can to have a 5-game sprint here towards the end of the season. So we're looking forward to adapting those changes and what we needed to be able to do and what we felt like we could get better at, and then also get some recruiting in there as well with our staff this past weekend. So I thought we really accomplished everything that we wanted to accomplish in the bye week. And, now we're on to Maryland. Last night had a Tuesday practice in the stadium on Sunday night, which I thought was really good for our players. So it was good to see them, good to be back. In the season, when you're away from them for like a day and a half or 2 days, that feels like a year, right? And so everybody was like, oh, it's good to see you last night. Oh, so good to see you. Like, we saw each other 2 days ago, but it feels like forever. So really good to get back around them again last night. And had great meetings and a really good practice, and got a really good opponent coming in here at Huntington Bank Stadium on homecoming with Maryland coming to town, so who just beat USC. So I'll leave it open for questions.
BG, when you're looking at the self-scout, what stood out about the offense, and particularly the offensive line?
Yeah, I think that, when we fire off the ball and we know what to do and we know where we're going, we're pretty good. We're playing against some really good defensive lines, though. Nobody's just going to allow you to run the football. I think our pass pro, we could make some tweaks here or there, but for the most part, I think our pass pro is doing a really good job against who we're facing and what we're facing. It's not just about who you're facing, about what are people doing against you in the X and O department that you could expect in the next 5, or find some things that, hey, this could be a weakness of us, people could continue to exploit. But like I said, I think our offensive line is playing really, really hard. I'm really proud of those guys. They're fighting, scrapping, clawing. But we played some really good football teams, and that's what the new Big Ten is. Every week they just keep coming at you. This week against Maryland, they're twitchy, they're stout, they're good, they're long, they're athletic. So it just keeps coming at you. That's the good and bad of our league, is that just one after another they keep coming at you. But I'm really proud of the progress they are making. When I go back as a head football coach, are we getting better? In every area, are we getting better at every position? And when you go back as a head coach and you take a lot of pride in the development of your football team, and that's how we find a way to win here at Minnesota. And we're getting better. At every position, we're getting better. And, again, I get to be the judge of that and how we're doing that. It doesn't mean that we don't have areas to continue to improve on. But this team is really together, really connected, just like our O-line. They want to get better. They want to be able to find out what they're not good at and go improve those things. And that's half the battle in coaching, is having guys willing to go out there and want to get better and be transparent and honest of what we have to get better at. But I'm proud of those guys.
Evaluate special teams through the first 7 games?
Yeah, we've had some really good times. We've had some hard times, but who hasn't around the country? I think everybody's chasing perfection. You're writing for perfection. We're coaching towards perfection. Our players are working towards perfecting all those things. You'll never get there. I think every head coach, I watch all press conference. I watch 10 press conferences a week, and they ask the same questions to that head coach as you're all asking of us, because you can only ask so many questions in football. And it's all pretty similar, and something's got to give, and something always has to improve. But we've been consistent in a lot of times, in a lot of areas. We've been inconsistent in some other areas, but there's always room for improvement. I think we've had some things that we've opened our eyes that we can do better, but also things that we haven't had in a while that I think has really helped us make special teams even part of more of a game changer in the game. So, we just got to continue to be more consistent. I know it sounds cliche, but we need to be really consistent. We go back and analyze 3 things always, right? The ball, tackling, and explosive plays. And that comes into every single phase. That's what's great about having a core philosophy and belief of how you win football games. You can always go back to it, right? So if I'm talking about 78%, which is a 9-3 season, right? Or winning 78% of that time within that game about the ball, tackling, explosive plays, then we need to focus on that. You can focus on that in special teams. You can focus on that in offense. You can focus on that on defense. And in that area, there's always room for improvement.
PJ, reviewing their defensive footage, they have a really different fronts, 6, 7-man fronts, 3-man fronts. They run a lot of delayed blitzes. So what impressed you about their front seven?
Yeah, I mean, they can do a lot of things from odd to even. They can get to a lot of, we got a chance to be able to get into them a little bit last week, then confirm what we saw and continue to game plan based on their game against USC. But they're big and stout up front. They're twitchy. They got a lot of length, size, strength. They're really good at center of gravity, shedding blocks, making plays with defensive linemen. Linebackers are really active, come downhill really well. They're stout. They tackle really well. And, getting to multiple fronts and multiple pressures where they can create things you haven't seen has really been the flavor we've seen the last 3-4 weeks, starting with Michigan and going all the way down. And that's a challenge because you got to be really good in-game adjustments because you're going to see things that you haven't prepared for. And they can get to a lot of things you haven't prepared for because of the variety of fronts that they have.
Self-scouted defensively.
I think, it's going to sound boring, Andy. I mean, it really will. It's going to come down to, we've got to be able to get more takeaways. And I know that we're doing really well in that department right now. But when you look at the games we don't win, we don't get enough takeaways. And we've got to play complementary football. Complementary football is not just playing good offense, good defense, and good special teams. If something's not giving on one side or not doing well, it's got to be made up on the other side of the ball. And then it's got to be bridged with special teams and vice versa, right? You want to play really well in all three phases, but every single press conference, there's something that a head coach is talking about that last week they didn't do very well. I haven't seen one press conference where they're like, we have nothing to work on. We're doing pretty well. We won in all three phases. I'm not sure what we're going to do on Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll figure it out, though. We're going to read books. Nobody talks about that, right? So defensively, we've got to – it's kind of like when you look at your team, it's the beginning of the year, and you play your first game. That tells you everything you need to know. And then you've got to make all that up and get better at that throughout the year. We've got to be better at our tackling, right? Not only in space, but in holes. We've got to be better at tackling at the point of attack, using our tackling circuit, right, with the appropriate tackle. We've got to be able to continue to get more takeaways and be more advantageous, not just with interceptions, but getting the ball out in the run game. And then we've got to be able to eliminate explosive plays, whether in the run game or the pass game. And when we do those three things, Andy, we're a really good football team. That doesn't mean people aren't really good offenses. We did all those three things against USC, and they still scored 17 points. Now, 17 points in Big Ten football, that could be considered a lot or not enough. Just depends on who's looking at it. But that is what was needed to hold that high-powered offense for us to be able to win the football game and score one more point than they did. But I think when you go back through it, Andy, it sounds cliche, but it goes back to the three things. We're always going to find out those three things. How can we then creatively get better at the ball, get better at our tackling, and eliminating explosive plays? Eliminating explosive plays isn't just saying you want to eliminate explosive plays. How are we setting the edge? Are we setting the edge of the defense properly? Are we setting the edge violently enough? Right? Are we doing a really good job on our coverage and our attention to details within the fundamentals and in our coverage techniques? So, again, it sounds broad, Andy, but within those things, there are so many details that we got to get better at. The discipline, the details, and the how, there's always those built within those three.
PJ, in your career, can you remember a freshman who's impacting the game as much in different ways that Coy is for you?
It's hard to compare. I think he's making a huge impact. I think I mentioned before, you had a true freshman, and Corey Davis at Western Michigan was pretty good, ended up being the 5th overall pick. He played as a true freshman, but when you're talking about the impact that he's making on offense or on defense, special teams, that's hard to do as a true freshman. And he came in June. I think that's a great lesson for everybody that's said, I have to start early or I'm coming early to be able to play. That's true. I would have loved to see where he is if he came in January because that puts you 6 months ahead. But just remember, he came in June. He hasn't even been through the strength program, an off-season program yet. But that's a credit to him. That's a credit to Danny Collins, his position coach, and his preparation of making sure when he got here he was ready to go. And I think everybody wants to play. Everybody wants to be able to impact as a freshman. That's really, really difficult to do. But you better be doing a lot of things leading up to you coming here to give yourself even a chance. And then when you get here, you got to make up a lot of ground. And some people say they want that, and it tests you when you get here. Coy's one that really answered the bell.
What stands
I
out
mean, it's
about-
amazing. I just went up there and he's over there eating string cheese. Just eating string cheese. Just up there, just pulling the string apart like one by one, just eating it. I like string cheese, but it's just like I said, when you get a chance to see them all the time, like they're kids, he's pulling apart string cheese, like my kids do. I just, we put them at this level of like these professionals and the salary cap next year and the NIL and they're still kids. So he's refreshing, that's for sure.
PJ, what stands out about Maryland's passing game, and is the receiver maybe the best that you've faced? Obviously, a couple at USC that were pretty good as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to sit there and say who is the best, but he's one of the best that we faced, yes, with all due respect of all the wideouts we played prior leading up to him. But they don't not only have him, they got two others that are really, really good. And when you look at the whole, this is very similar to like a USC where there's four guys on the outside that any one of them can beat you. One gets targeted a little bit more than the other. Number 10 gets targeted more than probably all of them, but they all can beat you, and they all have very similar skill sets where, they can contort their bodies, make back shoulder catches, win the one-on-one matchups, find spots and zones, play big, play small. They can do it all. And their catch radius is ridiculous. And the quarterback extends plays where that's one of the most dangerous parts is everything breaks down. He can extend the play, really good thrower on the run. He's a really good athlete that finds a way to get the ball to the open receivers. And then if they're not open, he allows them to go make a play on the ball and give them a 50-50 ball, which, they're making catches more than they're not on those 50-50 balls.
You've always stressed connectivity with your program, so with a week like homecoming, how does that, more enhanced both within the team and with bringing former players back to talk to the guys?
Yeah, I think that, we're having more former players back than ever. And I think that's a compliment to the program and the culture and our alumni connecting each other. This is not just about the 8 years we've been here. This is about the entirety of being a Gopher. And again, I think one of the number one jobs as a head football coach is to get your players to absolutely love their alma mater and have the greatest experience they possibly can. That when you're gone, they come back and feel really welcome no matter what, no matter who the head coach is, no matter what culture's here, no matter who's, what when row the boat's done, what's the next thing with Sky Uma that attaches them to everything. Remember, I said Sky Uma is the tradition. Row the boat is now, and the culture mixed with that tradition. And that's how we do it now. There's going to be another one that comes in eventually down the road. So I think it's really big that nobody's bigger than the program, and everybody understands that, past, present, and future. And I can't thank our alumni enough, not only just in the NFL, but everybody that's out there that supports our program and supports our student athletes. They do a great job. So our job is to go out and put the best product on the field. That's a fact. That's our job. And our alumni come back and have a really, really good time and a really good experience enjoying the game and all the homecoming festivities outside of football.
PJ, this position is often underrated, but tell me what your tight ends bring to the game.
Yeah, I mean, we hopefully play a really physical style of football where it isn't just about catching passes. You got to really block at every position. And I think we're looking for complete tight ends that can block inside zone, outside zone. They can pull on gap schemes. They can help us in the pass game vertically, side to side, quick game. And I think our tight ends are doing a really good job of that. I think they're a really connected group. I think Eric Kaler's done a great job in that room of really bringing everybody together. Eric Kaler's got a lot of energy. He's a really good football coach. And I think they respond really well to him. And it's been a fun position to watch grow. We've got a lot of young players that are in the stable that are getting better too. When we have our Sunday night practices, especially in the bye week, last week, got a lot of young players, some reps, really got to see who's going to emerge come next year. And I thought that was really positive. And a lot of those guys are in the tight end room. So it was good to see. But you've got to be able to do a lot of things to play tight end here. And I think that our guys are doing what they're asked to do at a high level.
PJ, you talked about Max's processing ability. How would you describe Cody's ability to dissect and
Yeah, I think that, for people that don't know, Cody wears the green dot on defense, meaning he can have coach to player communication, and he's the only one on defense that can have that. I think there's a lot of coach to quarterback talk, but I think there's not enough talk about the defensive, guy who has the green dot, and you can talk to him up to 15 seconds. I think that has been awesome for us. The days of like yelling onto the field, like, hey, look over here. We're changing something. Tell number 12 to do this. You can't hear that at a whiteout at Penn State. You can't hear that at our 3 sellouts here that we had this year at Huntington Bank. Those days are over. Part of the reason why my voice is the way it is, I still think I can do that. But the coach, the player communication on defense has really helped us. And I think Cody does a really good job of orchestrating that, because you're still a composer, I think that's what that person's, no? Is that what's the director? Dang it, composer writes the music, am I right? I played the trumpet for 3 weeks, everybody, so, but what is it? Director, yeah. And I go to enough musicals to understand that. I should know that. But he is the director of the defense. And so he's making sure everybody's where they need to be. And he's got to be really good in his communication to make sure everybody gets what Coach Heatherman wants communicated, not only in the play and the adjustment, but making sure everybody gets those few things that are like, hey, we need you to tell this guy something. And he does. And I think he does a really good job in his own way of leading that defense. And, we're a better defense with him healthy. And I think we've shown that.
Final one for Coach, or is everyone all set? All right, thank you.
All right, perfect. Thanks, everybody. Row the boat. Sky Mago Gophers. Happy homecoming.